When I saw a job ad for a local bus company, I thought I had the right skills for the role. I'd spent a few years working as a transport driver for the RAM, so I was pretty used to working with heavy vehicles. When I got to the end of the training period, the boss told me he was concerned about whether I would be able to handle the job once I got out on the road. I passed all the activities in the training, so I had no idea what he was talking about. When I asked him to explain his comments, he didn't really have any basis for this concern, except that I was a woman, and that driving a bus was in his eyes a man's work. He insisted I have to stay on the lower training wage until I proven myself.
I wake up every morning with a heavy feeling in my chest. The alarm rings and I drag myself out of bed, knowing that I have another long day ahead of me. Society expects me to be the provider, the strong one who holds everything together. I can't see any other way out of this relentless pressure. With tears streaming down my face, I made a decision that I never thought I would. I don't remember anything much after that. The next thing I know, I'm in a hospital bed. On the days that followed, I started to understand that the pressure I felt wasn't just about the work or being a provider. It was about the impossible standards and rigid roles that society imposes on them.
In a world that is divided by wealth, the stark inequalities can shape lives in profound and unseen ways. But have you ever wondered how different life is for the rich and the poor?
Life can be quite challenging. As students, we don't always have the latest books or even brand new laptops to rely on. Sometimes I even have to miss school activities to help my parents at work. It can be discouraging to think about how life can be at times.
It has been an eye-opening experience to focus on my studies without worrying about financial stress, something I sometimes took for granted. However, I also face criticisms and negative stereotypes based on our status, leading to misunderstandings.
Last year, there was a classical trip that I really wanted to go on, but when I found out the cost, I knew it was out of reach for me. It's tough to be left out because of something as simple as that.
Growing up, it's kind of easy for me to take certain things in life for granted. Being wealthy, I sometimes feel pressured to maintain a certain lifestyle, making me anxious about how others perceive me without judgment. I would often feel isolated or disconnected from others who have been different financial privileges, making it difficult to form genuine relationships.
But as I have come to realize, being aware and understanding why things happen can really uplift your mood. Maybe my dreams and inspiration can serve as a guiding light, and you refuse to let my circumstances to bring me down.
As I have grown up, I believe that whether privileged or not, we can use platforms and resources to uplift ourselves, overcome stereotypes, criticisms, and judgments, and advocate for changing how people think.
Today, I wanted to talk about something a little different.
Something that's been on my mind a lot lately: racial inequality.
Now, you might be wondering why a white person like me would be bringing this up. Well, the truth is, racial inequality doesn't just affect people of color, it affects all of us.
Growing up, I never really thought about race. My small town was predominantly white, and everyone seemed the same. School lessons talk about Martin Luther King Jr., but it felt distant, like history.
It wasn't until college that things started to shift. I met people from different backgrounds, and for the first time, I heard about their experiences with racism. It was eye-opening.
There was anger, frustration, and a lot of pain. It was uncomfortable, but ignorance is worse. I started educating myself, reading books, watching documentaries, and anything to understand the realities of racial injustice.
Now, as an adult, I'm still learning, but I know I can't stay silent. I use my privilege to speak up when I see something wrong. I donate to anti-racist organizations. I talk to my family and friends about these issues. This isn't about guilt. It's about taking responsibility for creating a more just world. A world where everyone has the same opportunities, regardless of the color of their skin.
Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Isn't racism mostly a black and white issue? The truth is, it affects all people of color, including Asians like myself. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. My parents immigrated from China when they were young, so I was always a bit different. Then, there were the bigger things, like the time I was mocked for having small or narrow eyes, or the time someone yelled racial slurs at me and told me to go back to China. These things made me really feel discriminated, that I was constantly being judged and based on how I look. I'm not saying my experience is the same as someone who's black or Latino. Every race faces its own challenges, but racism is a system, and it affects all of us. It's about power and privilege, about who gets a voice and who doesn't. So what can we do? We can educate ourselves and each other. We can speak out when we see injustice. We can support organizations fighting for racial equality no matter the race. And hey, maybe we can even start conversations like this one. Because the more we talk about it, the closer we get to a world where everyone feels safe, valued, and seen. Thanks for listening, and let's keep this conversation going.
Inequality affects us all, limiting opportunities and stifling potential. But together, we can create more equal and just society. Here are 5 ways we can reduce inequality and promote fairness for everyone. First, promote equal opportunities in the workplace.
Invest in education for all.
Support community initiatives.
Foster inclusive attitudes and behavior.
Advocate for fair policies and legislation.
Reducing inequality requires all of us to take action, big and small. Together, let's build a community where every individual is empowered to flourish.